You know, I was gonna sit here and say a bunch of things. This is the best cheesecake in the world. Basque cheesecake, it's also called burnt cheesecake, to me, should be the only cheesecake. I know it's a big statement. I'm not saying I don't love New York cheesecake, and I'm not saying I don't love other kinds of cheesecake. They're all great, but Basque cheesecake scratches every itch you could ever have. This cheesecake is meant to be cooked very dark so that it gets those nice, not just beautiful mahogany colors on the outside, but you get almost a brown butter toasty flavor on the exterior. But what's really special about this cheesecake, it's crustless, it's pretty minimal effort, but the result is the most silky, smooth, luxurious, flavorful cheesecake I personally have ever had, and you can add all sorts of things to change it up. So that being said, let's make this, shall we? All right, we got eggs for a cheesecake. Let's get these set up because although these come later, you're better off cracking them all and having them ready to use. So we have a medium-ish bowl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 eggs. I'm gonna crack them all in there. But Josh, why can't I just crack the eggs when I'm whipping the cake together? Well, you could, but this is gonna make your life significantly easier. Sometimes you do things before you do other things so that when you do the things that come later, the things that you did before that thing makes the thing that then comes after better, easier. Got it? All right, we're almost there, guys. This is actually a great opportunity for you to test and see if you can crack 2 eggs at once and get a lot of shell in there too. I actually legitimately did get a shell in there. No, and it's so deep in there. So, you know, eggs used to not be like this. Now they're all brittle and God is ass. All right, and then separately, I'll crack another egg just to separate the yolk. So that's 8 whole eggs plus 1 egg yolk. One more thing I wanna prep, vanilla bean. We have 2 beautiful vanilla beans, but you don't wanna be caught with your pants down here or your vanilla beans unbeaned. So you'll take both of these and you're gonna cut them lengthwise. I kinda like to press them and flatten them out so they stay in one piece here. And we'll start right about there with the tip of our knife and then just slowly drag that down, split in half, then connect the other side. That, okay, we'll do that with our other vanilla bean. Flatten them out, take your knife and just carefully split that bad boy in half. Now, once you split these, you've got this vein here. You'll take your knife and then just gently, while holding your vanilla beans, scrape the inside of your vanilla bean. Those are beans. God, that has a lot of bean going on in it. Now the pods themselves, you can actually keep in a jar or in a little bit of vodka and you'll make your own vanilla extract, but I'm not gonna show you how to do that right now. I just want all the beans from these vanilla bean pods. Now, if you don't have fresh vanilla beans, you can use 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of vanilla bean paste or vanilla extract. So first we're gonna start with 2 pounds of full fat cream cheese, not whipped because we're gonna whip it ourselves. Doesn't that say eat up? Now in order to whip this properly, it needs to be at room temperature, along with 8 ounces of room temp mascarpone cheese. We got 2 different kinds of cheese going on here. We got an electric beater set on high. We're gonna start by whipping this just until it turns a little bit creamier, a little bit lighter. All right, that's looking nice and fluffy. Now we're gonna add 1.5 cups or 300 grams of white sugar, a little bit at a time. So add a little quarter of it, whip that in, add a little quarter, whip that in till fully incorporated before you add the next quarter. Now again, whip that in, and finally the rest of our sugar. Now follow that with 2 teaspoons of fine sea salt. Never skip the salt, guys, so important. Finally, we're gonna add our eggs a little at a time. I'll add 1 egg, then beat that in, and then just, again, 1 at a time. Add it in, beat it in until incorporated, add another egg, beat it in until incorporated until you've added all of your eggs. Now, periodically, you will need to do this in this first part of the whipping, which is to just scrape around the sides. You can see you've got built up stuff that's not incorporated here. I want you to get in there and incorporate it. You tell this what to do. Don't let it tell you what to do. I mean, sometimes it'll tell you what to do. When you bake this, it'll tell you what to do, which will be to eat it. And then you won't be able to stop, and then you'll be like, oh, God, I was supposed to be on a diet right now. And you feel bad about yourself, and so you finish the whole cake by yourself. Anyway, so keep beating that. Okay, rest of the eggs. Okay, now that's incorporated, we can add our vanilla bean. I like to add it at this more viscous stage so it blends a little easier. Make sure you get the vanilla bean all over that cake. Very nice. Now, our very last 2 ingredients. 2 cups of heavy cream. We're gonna slowly incorporate that while we beat our cake mixture. And then last of all, we have 3 tablespoons of just plain old cornstarch. A little bit at a time, incorporating in between. Now, I'm using cornstarch in my recipe because I want a smoother, creamier, velvetier texture. If you wanted something more floury, well, you would just use regular all-purpose flour. You could replace it 1-to-1 as well. Now, there's no gluten in cornstarch, so you can't really overbeat this, so I would recommend just Give this a minute of stirring just to make sure all your cornstarch is hydrated. All right, now we can bake. So I have a springform pan. This is a 9-incher. It looks like a lot of batter. It's gonna fit. So pop open your springform pan. Voila. Take a sheet of parchment, lay that directly on top, okay? We wanna kinda center that. You can optionally give this a little spritz so it adheres, like so. And then you're gonna lay your springform pan on top, press down, and then lock it off. Then you can kind of just take some scissors. Doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of work your way around that, trim that off. And you can leave this overhang, it really doesn't matter. Next, another sheet of parchment. You can cut this in half with scissors, or you can fold it in half, lengthwise I should mention, lengthwise. And you can take a knife, work in between that edge there, and your knife the other way. Don't do that. And then you have 2 perfect even slices. These will become the border of your springform pan, right? So you're gonna line, right? One side, and the other side. Now, in order to get that to adhere, right, because it's just gonna flop around, you can do the same thing, right? Give a little spritz around the edge. Try not to overdo it. You want just a thin veneer around there. So in goes our parchment. I'm gonna press it to adhere. Do the same with the other half on the other side. There you go. Now, so you'll trim down, leaving roughly a 1/2 inch of space all the way across your little springform pan. Guys, I was never that good at arts and crafts, so don't judge my trimming capabilities, judge my cheesecake. All right, now we have a prepped springform pan. This part is optional, but highly recommended. It is to strain your batter. Listen, if you don't strain it, that's fine. You just won't get as consistent of a texture. If you want it to look perfect all the way around, it's just one extra step, one extra dirty dish. Get yourself a fine mesh strainer. In this case, we have a chinois, and god damn, that is heavy. Pour that bad boy through your chinois. And you can use a spatula to kind of push the rest of that through there to make sure it all gets through. All this is doing is it shouldn't really be leaving anything behind. It's just ensuring that there are no inconsistencies in the texture of this, that it's smooth and glossy all the way throughout. If you don't do this, you could end up with a chunk of, maybe a piece of cream cheese that didn't quite get incorporated, or a crystal of sugar. And then when you bake it, you'll slice it and you'll see some sort of like random white speck, like an egg white or something in there. It's more of an aesthetic thing, but if you really didn't mix this well enough, it will affect the texture of it when you're eating it. So first you're gonna wanna shake this side to side. I'm kind of like rotating it just to make sure it's evenly spread, and then you're gonna give it a couple of these, couple nice up and down taps. You see what's happening on the surface here though? All the bubbles on the bottom of this are rising up throughout the batter and popping on the surface. Now, they will eventually settle and go away, but you're just getting rid of excess bubbles. So again, consistency, density, no foaminess on the inside of this. So that goes into a 450-degree Fahrenheit oven for 12 minutes. And I know it's a little high for a baked good, trust me here. Oh my God, that is so liquidy. You'll rotate it 180 degrees for another 12 minutes, and then you'll drop the temp to 325 Fahrenheit and let it bake for 20 to 25 more minutes, or until the internal temperature is 140 Fahrenheit. Now, to get that velvety gooey center, when you pull it out and cool it down, it needs to carry over to at least 160 Fahrenheit. Remove from the oven, it'll still be pretty jiggly, trust me, it's gonna be okay. Let it cool to room temperature till it's no longer warm to the touch, then transfer to the fridge for a minimum of 4 hours, or ideally overnight. Okay, so it's chilled. We're gonna pull this bad boy out of our refrigerator, and before we serve this, I'm gonna let this sit out on the counter till it's room temp. Now you could serve it cold, that's fine. It's not gonna kill the experience, but when it's room temp, it's extra creamy. Now, to serve, you'll slice that bad boy in half, and then slice each half into 4 slices, giving you 8 total slices. Here it is. No sauce, no caramel this, no macerated strawberries. Not much to say here. Wow. I mean, listen, you make this at home, you don't put any sauce on this, do it for me if it's your first time. Because what you will experience is the best version of a cheesecake that there is. Some people only know the cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, and those are okay. But this is like luxurious in its texture, rich in its flavor. It's not overly cheesy, it's not overly creamy. Despite how much fat and sugar went into this, it's like shockingly balanced and easy to eat, which is maybe good and bad. But out of all the cheesecakes in the world, if I were to be like, you could only have one for the rest of your life, this is it right here. You should make it. The link's in the description to get that recipe. Love ya, subscribe.